You know, here's the weird thing with kids. They're stinking smart. And it was real funny. Like, my life led me doing things that I never envisioned me doing. For decades, I worked with kids with cancer. My wife and I were the head fundraising people for the Duke Children's Hospital, and I did a ton of things with St. Jude's, and just loved working with kids with cancer. There's somewhere in here that makes me want to squeal. So I got invited one day. A guy invited me down to the Atlanta mission. Well, I'd never been homeless. I never cared about homeless people. That's nasty. That's honest. My care of homeless people was, if you came up to my car at the stop sign, here's $5, please go away. And I had a guy invite me to lunch at the Atlanta mission. The first kid I met down there, 21 years old, in the heart of Atlanta, living at the Atlanta mission. My first thought, if we're going to be authentic, is get out of here. You're 21 years old. You're healthy. Get a job. His name was Jason. Of course, being a comic and a writer, I want to know everybody's story. I said, Jason, what's your story? Why in the hell are you in a homeless mission? He said, well, it was my mom and dad and me and my brother. And when I was 11, my mom killed herself. He said, 2 years after that, my brother killed himself. And it was me and my dad. We were doing pretty good. In my second year of college, my dad killed himself. And he said, I got to where I couldn't feel anything. I could not hurt anymore. So I started smoking crack and flunked out of school, lost a place to live, lost all my money, and I just couldn't hurt anymore. And I'm sitting across from him going, hell, I would have started smoking crack too. And all of a sudden you realize there, but for the grace of God, I'm in a homeless mission. And what I learned over the years, you know, people tend to view them as drug addicts or alcoholics, and a lot of them are, but that's the symptom. If you go back and find out the reason, so many of them had been molested, so many of them had been abandoned, so many of them had, some horrible trauma had happened to them early in life, and the hurt was so bad they couldn't deal with it, so they numbed. And so the guy, I asked the guy, I said, why'd you invite me down here? He goes, I want you to start a small group. There we go again, small group. He said, these guys have chapel a couple of times a week. They've never had a small group. And my dumb ass said yes, which is the only thing we can do for God is say yes when he whispers something to us. I said, and I did say to him, I said, there's almost 7 million people in Atlanta, and you can't find anybody more qualified to do this than me, you know. But I said yes. And I had to, when I first started going, I had to stop at Chick-fil-A and buy them chicken biscuits just to get them to come. I had to bribe them. And it started with me and 12 guys, and over the course of a dozen years, it grew to 32 group leaders and almost 300 homeless guys every Tuesday morning. I would get up at 5 o'clock, which was really hard for me because when you're a comic, you're doing a show late, and because I had kids, I would lease a plane. I spent so much money. I would fly home every night, no matter where I was on the road. If I was doing a show in Minnesota, I'd do it. I'd get back on that plane. I'd fly home. I'd land at PDK at 2. I'd go home. I'd get up at 6, and I'd take them to school. I went through like a decade without sleeping. But when I would do the missions on Tuesday morning, I had to get up at 5 because I had to be at Chick-fil-A at 6:30 and wait for them to unlock the door in order to be downtown by 7. So, and I did it forever. And one of my daughters told me not long ago, I never said anything to the kids about it. She said, Dad, she said, do you know what one of the pillars of my faith is? Is how, without saying anything about it, and I know you were dead tired and you got up at 5 o'clock and you would go get those biscuits and you would go down there and do Bible study with those guys. And she said, I just used to think if there's something that good that you felt that need to share it, that I need to delve into it deeper. So that just became one of the, so it's not just what you say. It's because if what you're saying is not what you're doing, it's hollow. It's what you do. You have to be a guy that lives it out.
And you know what's funny is it's like in our country, you could be part of a group that you don't even know you're a part of until you see something about it on TV or read something about it somewhere. And one morning I'm reading an article in the paper, and it's talking about the Oreo generation. And what it was talking about was people like my wife and I that waited until our mid-30s to have kids. It said you end up kind of being an Oreo because you're raising your children at the same time your parents in their advancing age are kind of reverting back to childhood. So you got them on both ends. And I thought about it and I looked at my wife and said, you know what this means? This means we got 2 that are out of diapers and 2 that are going into them. And as bad as it was with the little ones, I don't think it's going to be any more fun with the big ones. I don't want to be sitting there watching football with my father-in-law going, Ed, don't you lie to me, Ed. But I got to thinking about this. There's a lot of similarities between kids and seniors. Like they both get discount ticket prices at the movie theater. They both have their own special menu in restaurants. You have to worry about both groups taking drugs. Because it's not just kids. Seniors get a hold of some good stuff. Last time we were with my in-laws, I mentioned that my sinuses were kind of stopped up, and my mother-in-law said, do you want to stop the sniffles or not fill your head? She goes in her purse, pulls out a Ziploc, looks like it has Skittles in it, takes out a tiny green pill and says, say hello to my little friend. I took that thing, I woke up 2 days later laying in the backyard talking to Elvis. She's at the door going, get up, you baby, I take 4 of those and drive to the grocery store. The kids don't listen to you, the seniors can't hear you. My mother-in-law has a hearing aid that she hardly ever wears because she thinks it doesn't look good. Which, as we all know, is the reason they give you a hearing aid. But you can tell when she's not wearing it because if she doesn't have it in, she talks louder than anybody on the planet. One night, they come to visit around Christmas time. We go to the movies one night. Stand in line at the movie theater, she tapped me on the shoulder and said, don't look now, but the man behind us is cross-eyed as a bat. Which is bad for 2 reasons. 1, you are embarrassed to death. And 2, when somebody says something like that, you gotta look. Yeah. Turn around, this guy is glaring at me. Well, he may not have been glaring at me, but he was glaring at somebody. I don't know why only rednecks are seeing UFOs. And here's the deal. You got to discount 90% of that stuff right off the top. Because my Uncle Jerry swore they had crop circles in their yard. Then we found out that his wife had called Goodwill and they'd come and got the trampoline and the boat trailer. So, you know, mystery solved. But let's just say for a minute that aliens really are visiting Earth, but they didn't want people to know they're visiting Earth. It makes sense that they would only reveal themselves to rednecks. Because A, we usually live out in the country, so there's not going to be a lot of witnesses. B, we have no credibility with the media. I mean, people might believe a doctor from UCLA if he saw one and said, well, they appeared to be bipods from a hydrogen and nitrogen-based environment whose primary respiratory organ was located within their moist, translucent epidermis. As opposed to Cletus in his overalls going, it looked like a giant booger with real skinny legs. And here's the deal with the abductions. See, rednecks don't get to take a lot of vacations. So if somebody comes around and offers to fly us somewhere for free, we're going. And if you're traveling the universe, who better to have on board than a redneck in case your spaceship broke down? Because we'd have the hood open going, all right, I see what the problem is. Your nuclear fusion doojiggy sprung a leak. But look here, y'all get me a coat hanger, a Mountain Dew can, and some duct tape. I'll get us as far as Uranus. I don't know why, after all these years, my wife continues to ask, what do you want for your birthday? What I always want for my birthday. What's every man on the planet want for his birthday? The same thing every woman on the planet doesn't want for her birthday. You never once has my wife said to me, forget the flowers, forget the presents. Why don't you just lock the door and take me to Squeal Town? But it's what every guy wants. You can be visiting your 90-year-old grandpa in the nursing home and be like, happy birthday, Papa. Is today my birthday? Sure is. Well, help me get my pants off. I don't know why a dog can eat its own vomit, gobble up cat poop, and lick its rear end for hours and be totally fine, but if he eats half a candy bar, he dies. They need to renegotiate that one.